Hello, friends. Uncle Marv here with another episode of the IT Business Podcast, a show for IT professionals and managed service providers where we help you run your business better, smarter, and faster. Well, this video is the second in our series for May, Money, Marketing, and Growth. And I have somebody here who is probably one of the few vendors that actually focuses on all of that at the same time. Colin Knox with Gradient. And Colin, you have been doing this quite a while. I should probably let people know when we first met, I didn't realize that you had gone through the full series of being a tech, being a MSP business owner, heading over into the vendor channel, starting multiple companies, selling multiple companies. Man, you are a Mac daddy in the space.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about when you look back at what you have done and where you've been. It's pretty impressive sometimes to yourself and a bit humbling. But kind of like Bill Gates said, most people will grossly overestimate what they can accomplish in 1 year and underestimate what they could do in 10 years. And yeah, went from founding to exit in 2 businesses over the course of 10 years. And I never would have believed that would have been possible. And yeah, into the next venture now and kind of continuing on. So it's fun. I enjoy it.
All right. So let's kind of get into this. When we talked about how we're going to frame this, of course, the big thing was talking about the fact that you guys actually started as a billing platform, helping MSPs, get their billing in order because it's been coined that the PSA and billing is one of those things where MSPs lose the most money, or not the most money, but there's a big drip in the bucket when it comes to that. So before we get into that, can you kind of go back and I know you've written about this a couple of times, but how do you describe that to us?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of flippage and billing leaks in general. So our recent stats that we haven't even published out yet, but the average $1 million MSP, so $1 million in billing, is leaving about $127,000 on the table. In missed billings, in margin erosion, and general time sink in trying to chase between delayed payments, customer complaints, everything else. So $127,000 per $1 million of MSP revenue is what's generally being left on the table, which
that's over 10%.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy. So our typical research and data had shown anywhere between 5 to 8, sometimes up to 10% in missed billings, and that's just you've deployed. Customers have grown, added seats for various products. You've missed them, not noticed them for a period of time, stuff like that, right? Or text deployed something, didn't speak to contract and billing or the person that can do that in the PSA, so it never got added to the contract in the first place. And you've been donating entire services and products to your customers for God knows how long. So between that and what we just call margin erosion is where this really adds up. So you have your various vendors that reach out and say, hey, here's your 3, 6, 9-month warning that your price is going up and we're increasing it by 5%, 8%, 13%. And you kind of take it on the chin and, forget about it because that notice came out in maybe October and your bill changes starting January. You didn't think about it. And how long does that go before you actually reconcile the cost of what you're paying versus what you think you're paying and what you're charging your customers? And so the service that you thought you were making, 30, 40% margin on because of your markup, if you're not adjusting that fairly frequently with the cost increases that come from your vendors, most notably Microsoft, that, 20, 30, 40% quickly starts to dwindle down and down and down until you aren't really making any money on it. So yeah, it all adds up. It's a pain in the butt to stay on top of. It's something there's nothing sexy about it. There's nothing fun about it. but it's a major crux in this industry. And so something that we sought out to solve 5 years ago now and have made major headway on to ease that for MSPs.
Let me ask this question because I don't know, honestly, if anybody else is doing it. So I knew I would go through a point in time where I would, raise my prices every year based on, I didn't put a fixed percentage in my agreement. I'm like, look, prices go up, I'll figure it out because sometimes they go up 3%, sometimes they go up 8%. Some vendors, 30% increase sometimes, which, first of all, is ridiculous in my mind. But I actually am at the point now where I will raise my prices when my vendor raises my prices.
Yeah.
And I let my customers know costs have gone up. I'm not going to wait till the end of the year and eat that margin. Do you know of a lot of MSPs doing that or
So
any?
not a lot of them do it, right? I think there's a lot of them should be doing at least the annual increase. Let's face it, there's a cost of inflation. Chances are you're giving your employees more salary to do things. Your rent of your office space is probably going up, your cost of utilities, your cost of supplies, and then obviously your cost on what you're reselling is going up. So at least on an annual basis, you need to be keeping up with that, because that's why every other software vendor is doing it. I think it's amazingly intelligent to have that built into your agreements and into your MSA, where if your costs go up by at least X percent as a threshold, maybe it's 3 or 5% higher, then you will pass that along. I think what comes into play for a lot of MSPs that's challenging is when they come in with this all in pricing, right? And they say, you get all of these things for this price. Well, now when one or two of those bits or pieces or line items has a cost increase, how do you break that out? How do
Right.
you switch that up, right? And so that becomes a challenge in a consumption world, because you now have a harder time justifying what that cost increase is. And there's a good chance maybe you built in a lot of margin and buffer in the total package offering, but even that's going to start to erode over time with those changes. I think, if nothing else, the number one vendor that you must be on top of with cost increases and price increases that are passed through is Microsoft. When you've got so many varying renewal dates and terms and subscriptions, even across the same client, sometimes have multiple subscriptions with different dates and renewals. And let's face it, you've got a new price, or a higher price rather, every single renewal that comes in. Like that is just what happens. So if you aren't passing that along, you are literally donating money to your customers on that case. So those ones absolutely need to be caught up.
Right. Now, you just said something. I'm going to go in a different direction. I remember you did a post. I don't remember where it was, but it was somewhere at the beginning of this year where you talked about Microsoft retirement softwares was a revenue opportunity. Do you remember that post?
Yeah. So that's where I was. So it wasn't my post. That was an industry media outlet did an
Okay.
article talking about retirement of things. And it is. So if you have time to pay attention and look at the quarterly earnings calls, major press releases and stuff of the large software companies like Microsoft and Salesforce and all these other massive software platform businesses that have channel programs and partner programs, they talk a lot about what their partner multiplier number is. And what that equates to is, for every dollar of software licensing, their partners generate X dollars. Could be 3, 4, 7, 12, 20 dollars in return revenue for them. And that's not just on markup, but that's on the inclusion and management of a value added service around it, whether that's the implementation, the configuration, the monitoring and management, security of all of these things that you can wrap around it. And that's really where the opportunity comes in. One, in migration projects and shift projects and stuff like that, where you can do even a cloud to cloud migration, or, a retirement of old SharePoint into full OneDrive, whatever it is on those cases creates opportunity for a project. but then also different licensing opportunities and the value added services around that, the backups of the cloud storage and the securing of the policy and configuration management of those services. That kind of all comes into play.
Okay. Sorry, I attributed to you, but
Oh,
you'll
good.
take a little bit of
I
that
was
credit.
quoted in it, so that's probably where it came from.
Okay.
Hmm.
Let's go back because we were trying to remember if we had done a show since January of last year when you came out with MBR
Yeah.
and this managed billing reconciliation. Did I get it right?
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly that.
so that ties into what we started out with the fact that you know we're losing money by not keeping an eye on every little thing from every little product that
Yeah.
we are tying into our services. So, tell me how MBR helps fix that.
Yeah. I mean, the best way to put it is kind of easing of something for you and helping you get something done and then doing it for you. So the software that we built for the billing side of things really simplified and accelerated how quickly you could get this reconciliation work done of making sure that you're billing every customer for the right number of seats of the right products, everything else. There are still MSPs, even with that software, that are saying either one, I just don't have time for this, right? I would love to use the software and spend that time still every month reviewing the data that's been collected for me, reviewing the contrasts and differences that have already been compared for me, and approving it so that it writes it to the PSA for me. But still, that time of coming in, looking, reviewing, thinking, acting, all of that stuff is just more than they have time for. And so they still weren't getting billing done. MBR, our team will do it for you. We will get the access that we need from you for certain partner portals if required. We'll use the software on your behalf. Anything that's anomalous, that seems very out of the ordinary, we will fact check with you to make sure that technician didn't do something on the wrong account or wrong client or whatever else it is. But we'll just do that work for you so that come billing day, you're clicking generate my invoices out of your PSA, punting it over to QuickBooks or Xero or whatever you use, and those are going out the door, and you're confident that you are not donating money to your customers, or worse, going to get a phone call from them saying you billed us wrong for too many seats, which erodes the trust, right? There's also MSPs, even at larger scale, that are just like, I've got 3 to 4 people that are spending 1 to 2 weeks of their time doing this task every month because it's discombobulated, it's not coordinated, it's kind of still a big mess, even with the software at their size and scale. And they would rather that the people that they're paying major wages to are going to more productive events in the business, right? Watching their finances, doing their budgeting, doing the forecasting, planning their investments, doing everything else around what they need to as a finance team. So, yeah, we do stuff from, a wide spectrum of MSPs now on the MBR side. I want to say that we're doing well in excess of 300 million a year of reconciliation for MSPs, probably closer to half a billion that our team is managing for MSPs today. So it's been a really hot thing. I mean, the biggest thing I'd equate it to is the very similar sounding MDR, right? You had EDR into MDR where, hey, you've got the endpoint protection software, it's out there. You can be monitoring it, you can be reacting to it, making sure that when you detect something, you're taking an action and doing it, or you can let the MDR provider deploy the EDR solution, monitor it, manage it, respond to it, and remediate. That's pretty much what we do for the billing side of things.
And just for full disclosure, folks, I'm not using Gradient. I'm right on that edge where I look at how much time I spend in invoicing. Now, some of that I have offloaded. I have
Mm-hmm.
my admin that can get everything ready. I just review it. And I'm probably close to where I would use this. Now, on your website, kudos to you. You guys have your pricing on there. I like that.
Yeah.
And you've got 3 levels. I don't think you had 3 the last time we talked. Or did you?
So we've got different tiers based on how large the MSP is,
Right.
which really just comes down to how many customers are you billing on a monthly basis. So yeah, we actually used to have 5 tiers of sizes. We recently condensed that actually just at the start of April to 3.
Okay.
So yeah, the pricing starts at
Yeah.
$299 a month and grows from there based on the size of how many customers you're billing. But
Now, is it
uh,
per customer or per invoice? Because I have some customers where they get multiple invoices a month because
yeah, so it's per customer with an active contract that you're billing monthly.
interesting.
So yeah,
Because
it's
I've got
not.
customers with multiple offices and we generated an invoice per office.
Yeah, exactly. Or you have things where one customer has a security package contract, and that's separate from your business continuity and backup and disaster recovery contract, which is separate from your managed services and all the other stuff in that, which might still be separate from your Microsoft licensing contract. So
Mm,
it's just per customer
okay.
is how we manage that. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
Okay. So that's a little bit of the money side. We might get back to it a little bit later, but I also want to talk about the marketing side. I talked about the fact that you're one of the few vendors that kind of tackle all three. You guys introduced something called MSP Studio Plus.
Mm.
So that I don't mess up what it is, why don't you tell us what it is?
yeah. It all started as a very interesting experiment. Almost 2 years ago where, we'd seen the industry reports from Enable, Kaseya, ConnectWise, all of them that kept saying MSP's top challenge is customer acquisition, getting new customers, their number one challenge. So, we look back and we're like, you know what? Marketing seems to be somewhere where we could help MSPs because it's something that falls by the wayside. And let's face it, I was an MSP before, did not have a creative bone in my body, didn't have what are we going to do? What's the design? What are the campaigns? So we actually created a couple marketing toolkits or campaigns that we were using candidly as lead magnets to try to deliver some top of funnel leads for Gradient. And we put those out, and literally hundreds of MSPs started downloading those. So that was interesting to us. So we kind of took a next step. And in late January of 2025, we launched what we called MSP Studio. And that still exists today, was a completely free resource hub for MSPs. We're at 20 some, I think 22 or 23 full blown marketing toolkits in there that has already written social posts, already designed professional graphics for social, pre-written blog articles, email sequences, PowerPoints, lead magnets, landing pages, full campaigns, along with some other, subject matter expert, videos in there, some other educational content and stuff. So we launched that on January 27th of 2025, and it exploded. So that still is live and out there today. We are just about at 2,300 MSPs that are members of MSP Studio now that go in to get, work with, use, and um, yeah, just leverage those free marketing resources and assets.
Okay.
So
That's the
that
free, right?
that's
So
completely free,
so
right?
now you
There,
go to plus. So
exactly.
what does plus add?
Yeah, so we'd probably gotten to about 500 members of the free resource and had a lot of conversations saying, "What do you think? What are your thoughts? What's missing? What do you want?" And it kept coming back that, well, hey, we want it to be a little bit more on our brand, and it's taking us a lot of time to drop these in Canva, put our logo on it, still copy and paste, and put it on LinkedIn, each post manually and stuff. So there's only so much we can do for free. And then after all, we're a business and in business to make money at some point. So we started with MSP Studio Plus last October. So I guess we're 8 months ago now,
Yeah.
where we built a software that integrates with your social platform accounts. So LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and X. We added the ability with some additional, we put way more content in the paid version, but we could overlay your logo automatically, your contact details automatically, and you could just choose what you want to post, have it branded, You choose what date and time you want it to post, and it would go and do it for you. And so that took off really well. Had a lot of really great conversations with all those MSPs, and they kept coming back with, I want more branding. So I want it to be using my colors. I want the graphics to match more of my brand style, right? Like maybe it was photorealistic type pictures, but I'm more of a cartoony brand because we deal with other small businesses, and that's just the fun vibe we have. And then we started to build some stuff for that. And then the big one came out of feedback, which was, there's got to be some way that we're not using and don't have to use canned content, which is what we see a ton of in this industry,
Yeah, yeah.
whether it's vendor kits where they give it to you for free to market, services around what products they sell you, whether it's MSP Studio and the free content you get from that, which again, other MSPs are using and have access to, or even the marketing agencies in our industry that will bake a campaign or social post and they'll just drop the different logo on. And, as a vendor who's connected with nearly 10,000 MSPs, I will see 30 to 40 of the exact same post with a different logo just about every single day
Yeah, I
in
was
my
going to
feed,
ask you about
right?
that because when you talk about something that is, an automated thing, my first thought is template.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
here it is, throw your logo on it and good.
Yeah.
There you go. But you're
So
saying Plus does not do that.
exactly. So we got a ton of that feedback, and it did, and we still obviously we offer MSP Studio, and you can have that. Now, here's what I'll say: any content is better than no content. Full stop. 3 out of 4 B2B buying decision makers, so business to business, all of your potential customers, 75% of them, 3 out of 4, are checking you out on social before they ever pick up the phone, email you, or fill out a form on your website. That is hard research stat, right? So if your social profile and your company page is blank, or you're posting maybe once every 6 months, you are losing leads and not even knowing it. I guarantee you that. So when you say that customer acquisition is your top challenge, you are doing yourself no favors. So some content is better than no content. And that's where canned content and templates and stuff can come because it's a great starting point and gives you something to be putting out there. Now, unique content is going to feed so much more. So that's where we went. Just about a month ago, we launched our AI driven version, which will fully brand all your content to you, generate custom graphics for you, write your posts for you, suggest topics to you, everything else. And you can still use the canned content, and you can still put your own pictures in and write your own posts and have it scheduled or post out to your social platforms in one spot. Just last week, something we'd been working on for a long time, we launched what we call Autopilot. And it doesn't come with the agency fees, it doesn't come with any of that stuff, but we have AI agents in the background that are taking detail about your company, researching topics, creating a content strategy, a content plan, generating those posts in your brand voice, style, and tone, generating your graphics true to your brand colors, brand style, imagery style, your logo, your branding, everything else. And then using all of our intelligence based on all of the companies that use us and post that we monitor. What's the best date to post this? What's the best time to post this? Do all of that and just have it sitting there waiting for you to review and approve. Always a human in the loop. We're not having AI agents go out and just spam the world with your content that you're not aware of. You have to go in and approve it. But it's also took us a long time to build it because we've all seen AI slop, as
Oh,
they
yeah,
call
yeah.
it, right? It's garbage content that is just proliferating the interwebs. And so we wanted to make sure that we built a solution with the right guardrails and rules and boundaries that somebody looks at it and says, a human wrote this. And that's what we've delivered. We have our system reread everything that it generates before it even shows it to you to pass what we call our AI sniff test. And so that's what we launched last week. So now you can have anywhere between 1 and 4 weeks worth of content generated for you on the fly automatically. You get a message in your email when it's ready for you to review. You even choose how much advance notice you want to be able to log in and review, if that's 2 weeks notice or 7 days or 3 days. And yeah, you just log in, review, approve, or reject or edit. You can still edit them, and off they go. So it just
All
takes
right.
out all of that thinking work, all that effort, legwork, time, everything about it.
All right. Perfect timing that all this just got released last week. And that
Hmm.
is on the website, folks. I'm going to ask two very important questions. And I'm going to start with this one first.
Yeah.
You were a company that was started to help with billing reconciliation. Why this focus on marketing?
So, one, marketing has long been a big passion of mine. If you've seen the last couple companies that have launched and run and operated and exited, um, brand and appearance and marketing has always been top notch, and that's been a passion of mine. Second, our mission in general with Gradient, like when we exited and sold Passportal and we were done with that business, we said to ourselves that we wouldn't get into another business unless we could find ways that truly help MSPs. And that's, started with make more money. And the next is to just help them grow in a sustainable, predictable, and effective manner. And if we can't do that, then we're not going to do, if something we're going to build doesn't contribute to that, we're not going to do it. Because everybody says your success is our success. Look at all this revenue opportunity and everything else. No, we want to hard tax find you money, right? Whether that's with unbilled services that you're already delivering and paying for, whether that's protecting your margins and margin tracking and erosion and margin protection, or again, helping you grow. So the fun thing about being in control of a company that, yes, we're venture funded, I still control the business. So we can do whatever we want. And when we saw this and we heard the writing on the wall from the industry reports, when we launched our first experiments with this, and hundreds upon hundreds of MSPs are flocking to it, now thousands of MSPs have flocked to it. Well, come on. Clearly, that's the industry telling us that this is something that they want, right? And we figured as a high tech, innovative company, who better to try to solve that than us? And I know I'm biased, but arguably one of the best looking brands in the industry.
All right.
So that's why we hopped in there, right? Is
Okay.
really help the MSP grow and answer to the problems that they have that isn't how much more can I automate on the front end? How much, more efficient can I make our technicians? How many more products can I give you to sell? It's not about that. It's about making more money with what you have and helping in the back office side of things that often gets forgotten.
All right. Speaking of selling, again, prices on the website. This this next question is going to be a little multifaceted because at 199, that's what you're offering.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask it this way. I'm going to have some other big players on this month. They're going to talk about, money in marketing where you've got to spend thousands and thousands of dollars, blah, blah, blah. How does your 199 product stack up against what others out there are saying that you have to be doing when it comes to the content creation, posting, all of that stuff?
Yeah.
Because I don't want somebody to come on here and blast both of us for doing this show. So give me something
Nobody
to fight
nobody
back
should
with.
be blasting anybody. So here's what I'd say for it, right? I have seen we did a lot of research on the category social marketing, social media marketing category in specific. Okay. We did a lot of research and a lot of, we'll call it competitive analysis. The lowest price that we saw for social media marketing in a managed state was $400 per month. That all included canned content, but it would be branded to you, planned and scheduled and posted on your behalf. There was no thinking, no legwork, anything else, still canned content. That was the lowest price, was $400 a month. Um, the lowest price for fully custom, unique content on that was $1,500 a month. And then that went up to $2,500 a month. On the social media marketing side alone, I will just come out and say it. I think that's crazy. I think that's ridiculous, especially with where we are at in the technological era and digital era that we're in, um, with AI, with generative AI, with automation systems, with APIs and integrations out there, everything else. it's not necessary. Now, has that been available a year ago? No, not really. Maybe the integrations and scheduling and stuff. AI has moved forward so fast. So we understand that. We also understand that what we're doing competes with you just using ChatGPT and hooked up to Canva or whatever and just saying, freaking, I'm going to spend an hour a week prompting and posting, right? Now, we have to price ourselves in a way that makes sense for those people, but also is one of those things that it does outperform those systems. One, it's got all the agents, the strategy, the research, everything else. It's also been tuned to MSPs and other posts and everything else on our data set. But we also need to just realize that nobody needs to be paying 400 or sure as heck not 1,500, 2,500 bucks a month for managed custom content. This can all be done by software and tech now, especially when you're still in the loop because you're still reviewing what they're scheduling for you. You're still reviewing what they're going to post. You're still requesting edits and changes. So you're not spending any more time working with us than you would be with them, but you can be saving a ton of money on that. Now, I said around social media marketing in particular and in specific. A lot of these agencies have amazing additional value add and extensive support, custom written blogs and blog articles so that you've got blogs that then get syndicated through social, drive traffic to your website, feed your SEO and AEO. It's AI engine optimization for those who haven't heard the AEO term before. Feeds all of that, manages your Google business profile and your reviews and stuff like that, generates ads and posts and manages your ad paid digital budget, all that. Those are hugely necessary things for marketing if you want to have a broad breadth campaign, right? You need email marketing, you need digital ads to be bringing people in top of funnel, you need the landing pages and the lead magnets. You need to be tailored for search, either online or AI driven search, and all that. And you have to be active on social. That's a lot for an MSP to take on at any size, which is why those agencies are so popular and work so well. Our approach is most MSPs. Okay. When I said the average $1 million MSP is $127,000 sitting on the table, the average MSP is $750,000 in revenue. A lot of them cannot justify that other spend to go full bore, almost Rolls Royce on an approach for marketing. It's not realistic, right? But if you look at the free media option that exists on even just LinkedIn, 900 million B2B members, professional members, right? Pretty much every single professional person or knowledge worker or business person in your city is on LinkedIn. The average adult spends 2.5 hours on social media. 3 out of 4 buyers check every business out on social before they buy from them. That's the lowest hanging fruit, lowest barrier for you to be active, build awareness, build an audience, get some attention, and generate some opportunity for you. So if we can deliver that as a base level thing for MSPs to just say, hey, that's handled. Now with my referral programs, if somebody's referred to me, they can go on there and see that I'm putting out educational content. I have some other things that I can offer in the business, everything else, that's there, right? And that's a great place for most people to start. And I'd say any marketing agency, if you're talking to them, if they're watching, let's partner, right? Let us help you and manage and offload that social media stuff because I'm willing to guarantee that they are seeing the same disruption that every other business in the SaaS world is and services world with AI and automation. We can help make that affordable, effective, and easy to handle for them and their partners while they still handle that massive remainder of marketing, right?
Right.
Let's face it, and most MSPs that I talk to under $1 million in revenue, they are using AI today to generate their blog articles and post their blogs, right? So even that part's going. They're using it to generate emails and script emails and stuff like that. So yes, there is the need for creative flair. There is the need for strategy. There is the need for executing all of that together there. But
Yeah, and you're
It's
right. I mean, if you want to talk long-term strategy and, where's the direction of the business going, that's not what this
Mhm.
is designed to do. But if we can do this, save some money, yeah, that would be a big help there.
Yeah,
Let me ask this question. It's a little shift in gears, but we're coming up on time here.
yeah.
With all the stuff that you talk about and all the things that you hear, whether it's about the money side, the marketing side, whether it's about growth, um, all of these kind of lead back to where MSPs, where service providers see themselves. So a lot of people are still going to look at this and be like, that's not going to work, or, that's not for me, or whatever the thing they say is. But a lot of us have I think you said it at the beginning, we think a lot larger of ourselves than we really are, right?
Mhm.
So my question to you is, in your opinion, what is the most common lie that we as service providers are telling ourselves about our business?
Hmm. Um, a few come to mind. I would say the biggest one is telling ourselves that we are going to grow this year and or outgrow last year, but without having a plan to do so. Or a strategy to make that happen. I mean, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. And I'd say that's what 9 out of 10 MSPs do today is say, I want to hit the $1 million milestone or $2 million milestone. I'm going to hit it. To do that, I need to add 5 customers at an average of this and everything else, but they don't kind of keep going past that. Well, what do I have to do to be at the table giving enough proposals to customers at potential customers at my close rates to get that? And what do I have to do before that to get myself in that many meeting rooms? And what do I have to do to get myself enough people to engage with me to, right? Like, so I'd say that's the top lie is and most common lie that they think that they are going to, and they tell themselves they're going to grow unlike they did last year, but without having a plan or without having to do anything different than they did before. And I think that's the biggest thing.
Okay.
Um, I think one of the other common ones is that the business is doing good enough or that the business is doing fine. Good enough doesn't get you to where you want to be, right? Good enough doesn't give you the exit result that you anticipated having when you started that business or the, you know, disposable income available. So I think it's getting more prudent with operations, especially coming into summertime here. We're nearly halfway through the year now. Hard to believe, right? Because it feels like the clock just struck midnight on 2026 2 days ago. But we're halfway through the year now. And that's a reality that hits really quick
Yeah.
is what have you done this year to tune your business to be more profitable and more tuned and optimized for that? What have you done to actually grow the business and acquire new customers? How active have you been on social? How much outbound calling has been done? Has any direct mail been done? Email marketing, blogging,
Have you
podcasting.
been out in your community to go see your
Yeah,
prospects where they are?
yeah,
That's my thing this year, getting out.
yeah.
We
It's
we
getting
spent
out there.
from
It's
2020 to 2025 staying in and doing remote work. We're not actually out seeing customers and prospects, so that's my
uh,
thing.
attention is everything, right? It is the currency. If you don't have attention, you're invisible and you don't
Wait a
exist to
minute.
people.
Did you take that from Gary Vee?
I don't think so, but
That's
maybe.
one of
But
his comments.
it's absolutely the truth.
Yeah.
So I know we're running on time, but another quick stat. Um, so what we heard forever was that it took 7 to 12 touches for a potential customer to engage with you before, right? Sending them emails, sending a letter, door knocking, doing whatever, 7 to 12 to get them to engage and then win a deal. That number is now 27 to 32 or 20. It's almost 30 on
Yeah.
average digital touches or touches that you need to have. So if you aren't out at the networking events and seeing them, if you're not email nurturing and sending them pop-ups there, if you're not popping up on their LinkedIn feed and providing value to them in all these ways that you can easily touch people, you are not going to win those deals. So it's being out there, it's being active, being visible is the number one thing that you can do.
Oh, all right. I have another question that I've been holding in my head, trying to figure out how to ask this. I'm just going to ask you because we're going to run out of time. Because you you said a number, the average MSP 750K.
Yeah.
That's not what I've been hearing out there, and maybe that's because people lie. Uh, but because you've been talking to them and you've got a lot of people doing your stuff, what have you seen? Because that's considered a small MSP still.
Yeah.
And everybody's talking about the large MSPs where you've got to be focused on the 5 and 10 mil and stuff.
Yeah.
But what are the smaller MSPs doing that the larger MSPs have kind of forgotten how to do? Because a lot of those 750,000 they're profitable, they're good businesses. They're just
Mhm.
being told that they're not by the big boys, but yet they're thriving.
Yeah. I think in
Sorry,
in
I was
any
I was an unscripted
I
question.
mean,
So,
I've got questions. I'm like, what number are you hearing is the average? Um,
well, everybody's talking about now you've got to be at 1.5 to 2 just to start to get going.
yeah. I mean, they say product market fit or you figured shit out. Don't know if I can say that on your show.
You sure can.
By a
Absolutely.
million in revenue, right?
Mhm.
That's kind of that milestone.
Right.
But the reality is there's that average that the the most commonly occurring revenue number is 750K. So that's based on over 2,400 MSPs that we are tracking and managing and reconciling their revenue and billings for. So it is as straight from sources as could be. Um, Here's the thing, regardless of whatever situation you're in or where you are on the spectrum of revenue, people, maturity, whatever, there's a million different ways to frame your position, perspective, and situation to your advantage. Right. So I've got a really great friend now who lives here in Calgary. We actually competed as MSPs for a while. I had a larger one, established big office with the network operations center and all the TVs and everything else. And we laughed because he actually framed it very well in competition against us. We bragged about the maturity and the team that was always there and the skill level and everything else. He did the hey, we're not wasting money on office space. We're more intimate knowledge. We're working from your office. So whether we're working on your business or not, we're there and available to you. Right? There's the more personal touch. There's the knowing the face that's answering your ticket. So if you're on the smaller size, hey, that's amazing. You generally have less turnover. So how often says your technician or how many tickets a month is the same technician from that large company doing your support versus somebody that knows your business intimately, is a familiar face, a familiar name, knows your employees by name and everything else, right? That's an amazing way to frame it because in this world, experience is everything when you have a customer. And there are customers, and the average consumer will spend up to 30% more, I think it is on average, for what they believe will be a better experience. Not a better service, a better experience. Um, so yeah, I feel like if you're smaller, sell on that experience, sell on the personalized touch, the knowing who it is, having access to you as the owner, the ability to respond quicker and do all these things. If you are on the larger side and you're selling against that, you've got points of scale, failover, maturity, the probably higher belief and confidence that you could operate as a virtual CIO when it comes to IT budgeting, IT strategy, roadmap,
Right.
compliance, all of those things, right? So I think that's the difference point is they'll sell on the larger companies will sell on a more professional service. And I don't mean any disrespect or anything by that. That's just how they
Okay.
will sell.
Yep.
Whereas there is something very boutique and very attractive about a smaller firm that is more familiar and comfortable. And like every customer really only cares about themselves, right? I want to know that I'm going to get a quick response. I'm going to get a fast solution, and it's going to be good service, right? There's different ways to frame that from both sides. And I think that's all it comes down to. And your framing changes over time as you grow. So,
Yep. Very nice. Hey, there's room in this world for both. So,
absolutely.
speaking as the boutique shop,
Yeah.
that's okay. But I have actually referred prospects to a larger MSP because I knew it was a better fit for that prospect. I'm not going to try to, you know,
Yeah.
you know, fly out of my lane just to get the business. So there we go. All right, Colin. Sorry for that
No worries.
snowball question there, but it was in my
Love it.
head, and I just thought I had to ask. So, folks, Colin Knox, Gradient MSP, meetgradient.com. Go there, check out the Reconcile product for the MBR, and then of course MSP Studio Plus. Um, yeah, automate your social marketing with your brand, your colors, all that great stuff. All right.
All unique content. Yeah. You bet.
Any last words as we head out the door here?
No, always a pleasure chatting with you. Always love the curveball questions and conversation. And yeah, happy to be back.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. We'll have to stay in touch more because I can't wait for you to release, another 3 products before we have you on. So,
Yeah, maybe only one next time.
okay.
Awesome.
All right, folks, that is going to do it for this episode of the IT Business Podcast, our continuing series during this month of May for money, marketing, and growth. That's going to do it. We'll see you all soon. And until next time, holla.